2,500 students plus 300 researchers enrolled in PhD programs, 250 faculty members, a large and dynamic research community, and more than 100 members in the technical and administrative staff. The school offers 2 bachelor degrees in telecommunication technologies and services and in biomedical engineering. I take this opportunity to emphasize the Master in Biomedical Engineering, which is increasing the number of students year by year. More than 65 plus the international projects to apply information and communication technologies to the field of health began in 1987. Our school is pioneer in the teaching of biomedical engineering in Spain. In 1985, we introduced the first courses in a bachelor degree, and in 1987 in master degree and PhD programs. I would like to end expressing my solid conviction that your work today and in the long term will be very useful and productive. I wish you all a fruitful meeting today at ETSIT-UPM. Thank you very much, and I pass the floor to Enrique Gomez. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much, Professor Huecas. I think that first of all, I would like to give my thanks just to Professor Perez as director of this faculty, also to Professor Huecas, and all just the help just to support this workshop, all the infrastructures, and thank you very much. Also to all of you that you are attending, that you make the effort just to be here, not only from just Technical University of Madrid, but also from other universities that are students coming here and also remotely connected. Okay, we have just some difficulties with the timing, because in some sense, I think that I'm going to go directly to introduce our first keynote speaker. It's really a honor for me just to introduce Dr. Ursula Mühle. She is the Director of Education of EIT Health, and then it's really just a pleasure to have her here today. And I will say a few words about her. Dr. Mühle is a higher education enthusiast with over a decade experience in science, research, and education management at some of the world's leading academic institutions. One of her personal goals is to actively contribute to the advancements of innovative research and education formats in a multinational environment. Ursula has a doctorate in social science from Bielefeld University in Germany, which involves undertaking research and publishing on corporate social responsibility. Between 2009 and 2015, she worked at the Technical University of Munich, including time as managing director of the Graduate School of Information Science in Health. In 2016, she moved to EIT Health as director of education, as I said, where she is responsible for overseeing and sparking the education portfolio of EIT Health partners, and she will present today. This includes training for students, entrepreneurs, professionals, and citizens. Outside of EIT Health, she's also a volunteer in the Sontag Club, which is a leading global organization of professionals empowering women worldwide through service and advocacy. Today, Dr. Mühle will describe the program that EIT Health is developing to equip the current and future workforces to deal with challenges such as constantly changing technologies, different legal environments, and different business cultures. Thank you very much, Dr. Mühle, and please, I give you the floor. Thank you. Okay. Excuse me, Ursula.
We have a problem with the sound.
Yes, we are going just to...
Can you speak, Ursula? No.
No. Okay, again, the problem with the GoToMeeting.
Give us 1 minute.
¿Dónde estaba él?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay, good. So thank you very much, Professor Gomez Enrique. So thank you for this nice introduction. I assume you can all hear me well. I apologize that I cannot be directly with you today, but I got the honor to be at a wedding today here in Munich. So therefore, I decided I give this talk to you at least virtually. You will also be able to get the slides later. And if there are any questions, I'm sure we have some minutes later here that you can ask them. Otherwise, you're very happy also to pass them onwards to the organizers of this conference. And I'm sure there will be also opportunities later to connect. So, thank you very much for the introduction. As Enrique also said, myself, I'm Ursula Müller. I'm the Director of Education of EIT Health. And I want to tell you a little bit of a background today, what I'm doing in EIT Health, and also what programs we are developing. And I want to congratulate those of you who have been accepted in one of the programs, the MTiH. So EIT Health was basically set up because we said there is a real need for new innovation and skills out in Europe. So when we look at why we as EIT Health, and I will tell you a little bit in a second what EIT Health is, why we are here is it's fairly simple. So when you look at the current trends in health and healthcare, you see that a lot of changes are going on. On the one hand, the life expectancy is going up. People are getting older. As you can see on the slides, about 4 to 5 years per generation. In parallel, also chronic diseases are rising. So this really serves a need for long-term care. And in parallel, however, also our healthcare expenditure is rising. And this is a little bit tricky because at the very end, in order to put up the care quality, we need to find ways to do this in cheaper means because this healthcare expenditure we will never be able to fund in Europe. I also did some analysis and looked what kind of other trends are currently shaping the future skill needs in the healthcare sector, also to better help developing programs that use talents and the future workforce really get a high-level education. So what you can see here is that we can differ between two types of trends. So on the one hand, we have disruptive trends that are basically beyond our control and reshaping the healthcare sector, but which are very powerful. I already said there is the aging society, people are getting older. Very important is also the whole trend of digitalization. We also observe a lot of trends for personalization, so each of us is demanding kind of new care. There is the whole trend of personalized medicine, new genomics and genetics assessment, and we also observe a growth in patient empowerment. As a result, also otherwise, there is basically three reactive trends. What can be said as a result of the disruptive trends, which are also very important to know. These are kind of something I said before. So we are moving towards more prevention and prediction. We are moving towards remote healthcare and also the management of chronic diseases. For all of this, we are needing new kind of skills of the workforce. So just one example which goes along with this trend is the growth in health workforce demand. So DG Santé, which is the let's say health department of the European Commission, estimated, as you can see here on the slide, by 2025 we will have created additionally 1.8 million new jobs in the health sector. This means that all those people need to be trained, and they need to be trained differently than today. Also, when you look at the study of Deloitte, due to the trend of digitization, we can observe we need to merge talent with technology. So, for instance, what we will see, there will be a severe and increasing level of shortage across a number of clinical and leadership areas. So linking back to this former slide, and here what could help basically to overcome this shortage is digital technology, robotics, automatic tools. So a lot of technology which you will be working on during your studies and most likely later on. So who are we? I already told you EIT Health, who is funding the Master of Technology in Health Innovation, is a network of best-in-class health innovators backed by the European Union. We are a partnership of 140 partners. UPM is one partner out of them, but there are many more. And through collaboration across borders, so across Europe, we deliver solutions to enable European citizens to live longer, healthier lives. Our value is that we really look at innovation that addresses the needs of the market and society. So, for instance, if there are patients who want to have better care models or who want to better manage their own health, for instance, by using an app. I just heard that the new iWatch basically can also monitor better your heart rate and cardiovascular development. So if you want to do this as a citizen or as a patient, you need to have solid, trustworthy technological devices. And in order to do that, you have people who know how to develop those devices. But you also need to have payers like insurance companies or hospitals who basically allow for the use of those devices. So in a nutshell, we as EIT Health try to find those needs of the citizens, patients and industry, and then bring a partnership together out of hospitals, out of universities, out of businesses, but also incubators who really try to go and leverage those needs through the development of new products. This is what we always call the knowledge triangle. So the knowledge triangle of education, business creation, and innovation. And we think this knowledge triangle is really crucial in order to meet innovation at its best. When you look at how we are set up, and this is just a very brief overview for you, because this might be interesting to know your studies later, we are a very big partnership, as I said, 140 partners all over Europe. And I think one of our strengths is that we have not only the big health companies with us, so health, Digitech, MedTech, and Biotech. For instance, we have Philips in the Netherlands, we have Siemens in Germany, we also have GE, which is head of our inner-south regions. But we also have a lot of smaller companies and clusters and small and medium companies, which are basically often the hidden champions and the drivers, basically, of innovation. And I'm sure a lot of you, when you have finished also your master programs, will be able to work for one of those companies. And I encourage to reach out to them already during your studies, and your program will indicate also some opportunities to do this earlier. So what do I do and what I'm responsible for within our education portfolio, as Enrique just said before? So EIT Health itself is looking at 3 areas where we want to incubate new formats, new products, new services, and within education, which is one of them, I have the following mission. So I want, with my team and our partnership, to empower Europe's top talents, leaders and citizens with new opportunities and resources to make healthy lives a reality for all. And EIT Health Campus, the education pillar or program of EIT Health, aims to become a European brand for excellence for how to best educate and create health entrepreneurs and innovators. We have ambitious targets, but we are moving towards them. So within the next years, we want to have 150 graduates of EIT-labeled programs. And some of you in the room, I unfortunately do not see, but you see me. Some of you in the rooms will be part of those labeled programs. We also encourage our master and PhD students to create actually startups, so to really pursue their own business ideas. So I encourage all of you also to look into these options to see if you can create a startup yourself, and you will be provided with a very good environment to pursue those goals. And we also want to develop programs where we involve citizens directly in our citizen engagement programs. On the one hand, to raise awareness about what we do, but on the other hand, also to include the citizens into, for instance, testing or validating the needs we have identified to then develop better products and services. I, in the beginning, said that we also want to really equip all of you with new skills so that you will be equipped with really to be able to react to those changes I outlined before. So in EIT Health, we already kind of deliver a lot of trainings which look into entrepreneurship and innovation skills, as you can see here, also into management skills, critical thinking and decision making. But we also said we need to look more into patient-oriented skills, digital and data literacy, and interprofessional skills. And this is something I think also the master program you are enrolled in will be looking into this. So when I give you here the ETS campus overview is we are really aiming to incubate new programs which are not existing at universities. So all programs we will basically start off new or modified in a way that they include those skill sets, entrepreneurship, innovation, but also data and digital literacy. And today I want to focus very much on presenting you some of our master programs, among them the Master of Technological Innovation and Health, where, as I said before, some of you are already enrolled, and maybe some more will become enrolled also later. But aside of the master program, this is just a very brief overview. We also have programs for entrepreneurs, innovators. We have digital programs. We have programs for executives and citizens. And I encourage you later to also go to our website and explore what we are doing overall. So when I look at our mission, what we want to do with you as students, we said we really want to open the mindset. And as I said before, we have identified that there is a big need for innovation and entrepreneurial skills to take on opportunities, for instance, to work on with small and medium companies later and bring them really forward to the innovation champions in Europe. As such, we teach entrepreneurship to equip you with the right skills, mindset, and behavior, but thereby also taking into account digital and data literacy. And one of our flagship programs is, as I said already, the Master of Technological Innovation and Health, MTiH, which started in September 2017, and which is really offering a transdisciplinary and holistic approach to biomedical and health engineering. And as you can see here, currently 5 universities are part of this consortium, and what I heard from the colleagues is also the idea to extend this even more. And I think you will learn more about this during your entire workshop today. The idea here is really to bring you in technologies applied to healthcare, but also really develop your innovation entrepreneurship initiative. I'm sure that you will also be able to travel to other places and learn from their experience, both in universities but also industry. And we really want to support you also in your entrepreneurial journey so that you can create startups and also look in if there are ways that you basically become later part of our or another accelerator. So here, what's already very crucial to know, and most of you know this already, biomedical engineering already closes the gap between engineering and medicine, which is often still very siloed. So here, in the curriculum you will go through is that on the one hand look into kind of solving skills of engineering, but then really look into what needs to be solved in terms of the medical context, also look in medical biological sciences to advance healthcare treatment, and look into diagnosis, monitoring, and therapy. And here, what we also supported the program in development with is to make sure we will get a very, very transdisciplinary education. Also, and this I think is one of the core building blocks of the program, that we will be able to work in cross-disciplinary teams, working with colleagues from engineering, medicine, and business. And I think this will be very crucial for you also to deploy new skills and really work on the latest trends and needs. We also have some other master programs. I'm just going through very quickly that you know our wider context. We have the Master of Innovation in Healthcare, which is very much on kind of management and looking into how to manage innovation itself. It also looks at technological assessment, entrepreneurship, and commercialization. And this project, this master has been running for a while offered from the Copenhagen Business School together with the University of Coimbra and University of Lisbon. We also, aside of this master, very quickly look how we can better equip also young professionals with interdisciplinary skills and knowledge. So this is why we say we equip innovators. Here I encourage you also to check out our fellowship programs. And one of our fellowship programs is the Starship program, where we bring young professionals together on a year-long program with 4 education workshops, where they go very deeply in an action-based course to look and work on solutions to industry challenges. They're also working with multidisciplinary teams, and at the end are really trained by the Stanford Biodesign methodology to develop novel solutions again for unmet needs. We also cooperate with professionals because we think it's very crucial to have healthcare professionals and executives to also have a better understanding of empowered patient needs. And this is why we also teach them novel processes and best practices for patient-centered care and self-management. And just here, we have a bunch of activities here. Just one very briefly is our Entrepreneur Masterclass Europe. Here we brought several partners together which really work with kind of innovation experts from the medical field, so either from hospitals or from providers, for instance, the NHS in England, and help them to overcome challenges in their organization and drive innovation from within. We also, as I said, empower citizens to help them raise awareness about health self-management and also including them into the co-creation of activities. And here just one example of an activity we did in 2016 was the Protect Your Heart activity, where we did a big heart screening with our partners of citizens on the side run of a marathon to create better awareness of how to manage their own health. So, what's in for you? I think I already outlined some opportunities, and I just want to make this very short and give you 3 points of advice how to go about in the coming years during your studies. First of all, I just encourage everyone be open. Second, go and explore. And third, meet like-minded people. So I think you all are already experts in the fields you have started, and I think this is very, very good. If you want to become one of the talents who drive healthcare, I think those 3 advices will really help you to also pursue your own dreams, to change health and also devices to make health for citizens better. And I think finally, I also would encourage everyone in the room to continue your own professional development wherever you are in the world. So as you can see also at the beginning in the trends, our world is changing so fast, we don't know what's going to happen in the next 10 years. So getting a good solid master education is a very important first step. But I think we all need to go on, and I include myself here, and I think I can also include the colleagues from UPM. At the very end, we need to really move towards a lifelong learning track, which makes it very exciting because we can always explore new ideas, new concepts, we can all together improve the world for health and healthcare. Finally, if you are having completed and actively taken part in some activities, I encourage everyone to join the EITF Alumni Network. Here you will have the chance to already find like-minded people, and they are already open for students who basically finish the summer school with a master program, etc. So you don't have to wait until 2 years, but you can already join EITF Alumni now, and I highly encourage everyone to do this. So, I already said it, everything we do aims to improve the health and well-being of European citizens. We believe that innovation is the key to this goal. And this goal can only be reached with you, because you are the talents of Europe today and in the future. Thank you very much. Are there any questions?
Okay. Any question that we can just forward to Dr. Amule? Please. Okay, Professor Philippe Sabatier.
My question is related to the organization of the alumni. Perhaps it's interesting for the students to have some information about this.
Okay. Yes, Professor Sabatier from Grenoble University is asking just you about how, if you can just say some words to the student about the alumni network.
Yes, I'm happy to say this. So, as you can see here, you find all information about the EITS alumni network on this web page. So we will share the slides later with you so that you can have a look. So what we have done is we have built up a European EITS alumni network. Currently the community exists out of, I think, 600 alumni already of EITS alumni. And what those alumni get opportunities is to go to conferences, to go to job fairs, to also get the potential of getting internships or find also even a job after their studies. So we are a very active community who are also very engaging actively with the partnership. So for instance, the industry partners, but also the academic partners I outlined above. Aside of this, each CLC, so we are organized around those 7 regions in Europe, and each region, also in Spain, has a local alumni representative. So, and what we are currently doing is building up local networks themselves, so that students and alumni can meet at the local level, also to see if there are opportunities for conferences, for jobs, for mentoring, and any other needs they have. So it's very open. You can just go there, bring in also if you have an idea or a need, and I'm sure they will be very happy to welcome you in the community.
Okay, thank you. Any other question? Okay, yes. Professor Monica Duarte, yes.
There are different programs. Are there designed any ways of connecting the programs? For example, executives are in programs to identify needs that could be used in some other programs in which students work in challenges. So the question is whether there is some type of mechanism to link different programs.
I don't know if you can hear just the question is if EIT Health is having different programs, both at the level of all degrees and also at the level of executive and health and professional programs. If there are any mechanisms just to connect the different programs and to do this type of relationship between them?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Thank you for this. So we are currently working on a learner's pathway and indeed better connecting the programs. So what we already did is that we make kind of students of a master program or a summer school aware of the opportunities which are offered by our accelerator. So these are still different programs I didn't have here on my slide. But I can also provide you information on this. So we have in our accelerator, our business creation pillar, so-called boot camps, where startups can validate their ideas. So if you are, for instance, a group of master students come up with a startup and then kind of want to validate better your ideas later, then you can, for instance, go to a boot camp and apply there. That's one possibility. A second way of connecting the different levels is that we also ask, for instance, programs for executives, but also our innovation projects, that they provide challenges and use those challenges to basically link back to the master programs. So this is also what I would encourage you, Enrique, when you are looking for challenges, you work with all the students here in the room, that we see if there are some challenges, for instance, provided by executive programs or our innovation projects, to better kind of make those things.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, I know that that you have a very, very tight agenda that you have to leave in a couple of minutes. Just, well, I would like to say that is, well, we have, always some difficulties in order just to provide interactivity. Just to tell you that around 120 students are registered. Just physically here that we have 108. And sorry, more than this, because another 40 students are now connected just at Sorbonne Université, and another 20 students that are in the other universities. And I think that it was a very, very good opportunity just to have you here to share with all the students, well, one of the important, I think the main goals of EIT Health, that is to provide the possibility just that they will have this new generation of young people having in their mind the possibility of transferring all the knowledge and expertise that they have with the biomedical engineering bachelor, masters, and also PhDs, just to move to a new just Europe in the medical technology sector, where I hope and we hope that many new companies and startups will come, and also collaborating with very good already companies that we have in Europe. Thank you very much, Dr. Müller. Thank you very much for all your efforts just to be here. That I know that you have just many difficulties, but thanks, and well, have a nice day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And maybe just to follow up, Enrique, we will share the slides, and I encourage all of you also, if you have questions or also suggestions for EIT Health, please join the EIT Health alumni community, but also don't hesitate to get in touch with me, write me an email, ask questions. I think we can only improve together. Good luck to all of you for this conference today, but also for your program and your entire career. All the best.
Okay, thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Okay, then, therefore, we are going just to continue with the development of this workshop. And within just the keynote speakers, we are moving to a second part of session, where I think that we have just the possibility to show you some examples of very good, successful companies, startups that have been running just with the support of EIT Health, and just to act, as I said, with the idea to have very new, good companies in the field of medical technology market. And then we have three companies, Able, Spot Lab, and Weeby. I think that we have the representative of Weeby. Yes, also Spot Lab. I do not see if from Able. Yes, it's there. Good. Yes, and then I think that just a couple of minutes we can use probably the same computer just to include. I don't know if we have the presentation. Please, if you have in a pen drive. Nacho, ¿lo ponemos en este portátil? I would like just to say something regarding the agenda. As I said, we are going to have all the presentations just now regarding the companies, and afterwards we will go to the final conference, that is Professor Gonzalo León, that also is with us. The idea will be to have to open questions after the presentations of the three companies. Yes, and afterwards, after the final conference, to have the open discussion with all of you. In order, afterwards, we will move to the coffee break, where we will be showing some posters regarding just students that they were doing mobility within the Master of Technological Innovation in Health in this academic course. And to move to the last session of presentation, in that case also students from the different universities will share with all of you again this experience of mobility. And originally we were thinking just to have afterwards the lunch and finally a closing session. But we decided to change a little just to say that after the presentation of the students of the different universities and to the question, we will do the closing session. And afterwards we will go to having the lunch. Both the break and the lunch will be just in the main hall close to the library of this faculty. And this is, I think that for the logistic reasons, probably is the best one. Just to move, to finish, complete the workshop, and to move to the lunch that, of course, all of you are invited. Sí, yo creo que sí. Espérate. Sí, es que espérate, a ver si tienes. Nacho, ¿lo cargamos ahí? Mira, es que no sé si está. Okay, welcome. I think that is another group of students from Barcelona are coming. Please go ahead. Okay, we are going just to. Okay, we are going to continue, and then let me first just to introduce the speakers of this second part of the session. As I said, well, we have just the pleasure to have people representing three important companies, in that case, in the context of EIT Health. The first one is Able. I'm going just to introduce the people because they will just do the presentation of the companies. The first one, Able, will be presented by Alex Garcia and Alphonse Carnicero. Alex Garcia is an automation and control engineer with experience in motion control, electronics, and programming. Has worked in fields like automotive, 3D printing, and electronics. He's just an engineer with experience allowing him to gain deep knowledge on subjects such as communication protocols, control loop design, system integration, and agile methodologies. So also, he finds new technology and the change that they can bring into people's lives fascinating and certainly willing to contribute. And the second one is Alphonse Carnicero, an industrial and biomedical engineer, also with experience in medical devices and entrepreneurship. He has participated in several acceleration programs. Alphonse has worked within the medtech industry in the areas of product development, research and development, manufacturing, rehabilitation engineering, and biomechanics. He also worked at Institute Guttmann Hospital in Barcelona, which facilitates interaction with the center. And he's passionate about the new technologies and innovation just to help and improve patients' care. Okay, please, I give you just the floor to both of you. And also, the students, you can also just advance to, I think there are some places in other rows. Okay, whatever you wish. Thank you. Como queráis.
Good morning, everyone. Hola. Okay, so yes, we are Able. We are developing an exoskeleton, a robotic exoskeleton for people with spinal cord injuries, so that they can stand up from the wheelchair and walk again. This is Alphonse. He's our CEO, so he is in charge of managing anything related to the business. And I am Alex, and I'm leading the development of the device. So yeah, I've been asked to come here today and talk about our experience, how we started, why we started this, and which difficulties we're facing. And afterwards, he will explain more deeply about the company, the solution, and what we are trying to do. So we started as college students. We were friends, and we were always dreaming about doing something relevant when we finished the studies. But then our professional paths diverged, and each of us did different things. He specialized in medtech industry, and I focused more on industrial engineering, motion control, and this kind of stuff, electronics. But then, 1 year ago, Alphonse was facing a difficult decision. He had to choose between a good offer in the corporate world, in a 3D printing company. He has to choose between that and an opportunity in the university to convert a prototype in a research project into a spin-off. And he just, I don't know why, he refused the good salary and the good conditions and joined the university to make a market validation of the prototype and to see if it made any sense to convert that project into a company. With that experience, he joined Jose Maria, he's our other partner, and they made the market validation and they even raised funds to start this company. And the moment came to find a technical development team, and then is when I come to play. It was a coincidence, but I had gained the necessary experience that Able needed to develop this, or to transition from this prototype to this product that they were aiming for. So I had to take the same decision to leave salary, to leave good conditions, and to start this kind of adventure, like empty-handed and like jumping. And so we did. It's been a few months now. We don't have much advice to give yet, but I have listed some points that I'd like to say that we have already managed to realize. The first things is that when you start something from scratch, you have to do anything and you don't know how to do it. So you just find a way and get things done, even though you don't have experience doing that. It's a very chaotic period, and sometimes it can feel a little bit overwhelming. But you need to be proactive and to plan like in a long-term period, and to organize yourself, because nobody is going to tell you what to do next. You just have to figure it out. And another thing that is very important is that bureaucracy in Spain is a real mess. It's a lot of work to get your company constituted, and you waste a lot of time in there, but you have to do it. So again, you're doing things that you don't want to do, but you need to get them done. But then on the other side, there are very good things about starting a business. It's really intense and it's a lot of fun. You are doing what you like doing because you've chosen to do that. You have a lot of freedom. You can decide how you want to do things. And in our case, the sense of helping people is really justifies all the efforts and all the difficult moments that we're facing and the long office hours that we're spending and everything. So this is from our personal experience, and now Alphonse will tell you about the company itself.
Sure. Thank you, Alex. Yes, just a comment. I hugely recommend to start a business. It's something really special that you have to work a lot. It requires a lot of efforts, but you have also very, very good moments. So finally, I think that all the effort you put on, it's good for you. I will start now and I will present the project. I don't know why, but the first slide with the logo, an amazing logo, is not visible. But well, I'm gonna explain more about the Able project. Did you ever imagine to if you have to spend all your life in this church? Do you imagine it? This is Ivan. Okay, this is Ivan. At the age of 36, one day while he was working, he noticed a backache that made it difficult for him to walk. It turned to be a cavernoma that compressed his spinal cord, causing him an injury at T11 level that forces him to use the wheelchair every day. Like Ivan, 5 million people worldwide have suffered a spinal cord injury. This injury causes disability, which increases the degree of dependence in activities of daily living, such as moving or dressing, entails secondary complications associated to this. We lost it. I don't know why. Maybe. We're having problems. As you see, spinal cord injury is very problematic. Yeah. No. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. It also generates health complications associated with this sedentary life that the patient has to suffer, like muscular atrophy, osteoporosis, or pressure ulcers that really debilitate patients' health and generate social exclusion. People with spinal cord injury could be able to walk again if they had a robotic exoskeleton to restore the leg movements that were damaged due to the injury. However, these devices currently are very expensive. They cost about 100,000 euros, are heavy, and require professional supervision. Therefore, they are only found in the clinics and are out of the reach of the patient. This is why we started the business, and this is why we present ABLE, which starts from the standard orthopedic supports or orthoses that the patients already have, are passive, and we attach here the technology, which is an electric actuation at the knee that acts as an artificial muscle by flexing and extending the leg, and a sensor that detects the user intention automatically of making the step forward. This is the current system, the current prototype that now with Alex and with more companies that I would explain later, we are turning into a real product. This technology has been patented by the project team. Our value proposition is to restore this ability to walk of these patients with a natural and intuitive walking. And this will highly improve the health and the physical condition of these patients, allowing him to stand up from the wheelchair and walk at the same height as other people do, which will highly improve his quality of life. In this video, we can see Ivan, that I presented before, walking again thanks to the use of the prototype of the ABLE exoskeleton. But what do these patients have on the market? What can they buy outside? They have wheelchairs that are very useful, but force them to live seated. They have standing frames that allow them to stand, but only at a single place. They also have orthoses that block the articulation, causing a very unnatural gait pattern, which leads these patients to use the wheelchair again. And exoskeletons that, as I explained before, are very expensive, but also force the patients to move the trunk in order to to send the information to the motors to move. So it's not very a natural movement. It looks like you are inside a robot, and this is what we are trying to change. And finally, Able. Able is a lightweight, easy to use, affordable solution that detects the minimal movement of these patients in order to send this information to the motor, and this allows these patients to feel the sensation of being in control of their movement again. But how many people could benefit from this technology? All these patients with lower spinal cord injury, which is represented by 1.5 million people worldwide, 99,000 in Europe and 9,000 in Spain. And also the exoskeleton market will raise during the following years. It is expected to raise exponentially from 300 million to a market of $3,000 million in the year 2023. So there is really a good market opportunity. Our business model consists of addressing directly the patient through orthopedic stores. Once we send the Able module to the orthopedic, they attach it to the orthosis and sell it. And therefore, the patient can take advantage that this orthosis, that is passive, is already reimbursed by the public healthcare system here in Spain. Our roadmap. So far, we have achieved this. Well, so far the project has been financed by public funds for research, and also the Cash Impulse program and AT Health. In the Cash Impulse program, we had we were awarded between the three best calls of the call, in fact, and so it was an award from AT Health, and also we received the Head Start award from AT Health this year, so just some months ago. So now, with this help, we are raising more funds in order to develop this final minimum viable product. But it's a product much more robust that cannot fail. It can be used by many more patients. And with this product, we will finally initiate this clinical validation with patients at the hospital, and in order to obtain the CE mark as a medical device, and finally the first sales in 2020. So there is still a large path for us, but we are really motivated to do that. And finally, our fantastic team. We have here Alex, that is, as they said, engineer. He's specialized in motion control and electronics, which are key aspects of our device. We also have on board Dr. Josep Maria Font, who is a professor in the university. He's the director of the biomechanical lab at UPC. And Dr. Joan Vidal is the head of the spinal cord injury at a reference hospital, as is Institut Guttmann. And we also, since the start, we try to surround ourselves with the best companies in each aspect we have to take. So we have Institut Guttmann, which is one of the reference hospitals in Spain in neurorehabilitation. And we have also Ingenia, that it's curious because it was the company where Alex worked before, and he jumped to Able, but they really liked the project and decided to join us in this path and help. So we have all this power of being part of a big company, a big corporation, specialized on electronics. So we have this in-house, and also the UPC University. We also have a very specialized worldwide advisory board, like John Collins from Boston, Elena Canetti from Israel, and also the entrepreneurial experience of Bar Huisken and Mark Villa. They have more than 20 years of entrepreneurship. And finally, I would like to end with a sentence of Ramon, he's a music lover that told us that he would like to go to a concert and see the stage again. Let's make this happen. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much to both of you. I think that was a very exciting and interesting presentation. And we are going just to continue with the second one. That is the one from Spot Lab. Yes, I'm going to introduce just the speaker. That is is the founder of the company. Dr. Miguel Luengorov is the founder of this Spotlab company. He's a researcher at the Biomedical Image Technology Group here in this faculty, at the Telecommunication Engineering Faculty at Universidad Politécnica de Madrid, where he has created the Malaria Spot Initiative. Miguel is also the chief data science at UN Global Pulse, an innovative initiative of the United Nations to safely and responsibly harness big data and artificial intelligence as a public good. Miguel is a member of the expert group advising the government of Spain on big data and artificial intelligence strategy. He has been awarded by the Ashoka Fellowship, MIT Technology Review, TR35, and Social Innovator of the Year, and the European Responsible Research and Innovation Award. He holds a PhD and Master of Science in Telecommunication Engineering from this university, and also Master of Science in Cognitive Sciences from the COL, the Haute Institutes and Science Social, in social sciences in Paris.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that is. Let's see if it's running.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for the opportunity for presenting my story and my company. First of all, I want to apologize for having an all-male panel session. There is no woman representing as founders of companies. My co-founder Maria wanted to be here, but today she's sick. And let's see if we can see the slides. While we start with the slides, I'm going to divide this presentation in like two parts. The first is going to be the beginning, like a little bit of my story. I mean, where I came from, why I'm here, and then how the company started. No, we are not about, yep. Okay, so this doesn't work. So I'm from Asturias, in the north of Spain. I have studied like engineering, also social science. I've done a PhD on biomedical engineering. I have spent some months at NASA in California. I have worked at the United Nations and been traveling around the world, like seeing global health problems. Okay, and this is why it was around 6 years ago. Having seen on the one hand, for instance, the impact that malaria could have, and on the other hand, like that we are every day with our mobile devices, all the time that people spend like playing Candy Crush and things and using their phones, I make the connection between these two ideas, and I said, okay, what if we could make or teach people to understand medical images while they are using their phones? I mean, why? Because there are like thousands of cases of malaria every day, which should be diagnosed by a microscopist, like looking images, and turns out that we don't have enough microscopists in the world. So my idea was, let's put real digitized malaria samples in a game. Let's upload real samples, digitize the samples, put it in the internet, put it in a game, and make people play, make people learn how to find malaria parasites in digitized blood smears. What happened when I make this pilot is that it turned out that was kind of viral. So far we had like 150,000 people around the world that have learned how to analyze, how to find malaria parasites in digital blood samples. Okay, and this idea essentially was the idea of we can use data, we can use digital to collaborate toward health purposes. While we had the slides, you are losing the game and everything else. But the idea was like using the concept of crowdsourcing and collaboration to provide assistance to, in this case, to malaria diagnosis. What happened is that I'm going to trust you if I give you a sample to check, but if I give 100 people the same sample and you all agree, probably you have reason. Actually, we proved scientifically that around 20 non-experts trained for 1 minute are as good as an expert microscopist. Okay, and this was the beginning of the journey. where we started. I created a team that started to work in these global health issues. The concept of collaborative diagnosis, like using these mobile phones, was the first time that was on the table. It has received a lot of support. Other people have copied. Okay, now you can see like Games for Health. There is a sub branch that works in this space, but also allow me to have a team and to start working on global health. Okay, and this is where we went to the field and we said, okay, if we want to do this, I have to go somewhere where this is happening. So we started to collaborate with a hospital in Mozambique. We were there and we started to understand which are the real needs. That is complicated because I'm seeing like flashes on the back, so I don't know if, what you are seeing. But let's say that we started to work on the field and started to understand the real the needs there, and I understood that the needs were like digitizing the images was something that was interesting, and that allow my team to start working on what if we can transform the mobile phone also into a digital microscope, even a scanner. So we started to work towards like having like low cost, high tech biomedical acquisition devices that use the mobile phone. In parallel, I mean, that was, we started 2012, 2014 during the Ebola epidemic. My team also created a system that was used by the people that came back to Spain after being in Ebola-affected countries to monitor their health. Maybe you remember that in the news you have like guys with like astronaut suits that were looking for the people that have like fever after being in Ebola-affected countries. So we developed like a telemedicine platform that was used on the ground. 2 years later, during the Olympic Games, my team again created a platform to follow for Zika symptoms during the Zika epidemic in Brazil. This was for the Olympic team, and it's interesting because I was going to start the presentation with this slide, which is almost the same as the last from the previous presenter, and we don't know each other, but because this is our life, and I always, when I see that, I see this one. This was photo of the year 2015, and this is migrants in the beach, in the beach in Mogadishu looking for signal. And the reality is that phones and connectivity are everywhere, and they will reach all the world, like but for the last mile in the coming years. So this gives us new opportunities. This is interesting. This is kids playing the malaria spot game, both in Madrid, and other kids playing games in a refugee camp near Jordan, near Syria and Jordan. Just I'm going to skip. This is what I told you before. But this is how typically malaria is diagnosed, like looking for malaria parasites in the microscope, and you count, like when you count in the plane. And my idea was, let's digitize this. This is how a game looks like. Okay, so you have to find them, and this was like the game we did. Okay, you can like download it. This is malaria spot. The idea is that you can, you have like real samples digitized coming from South Africa, Uganda, Mozambique, even from Spain, and you contribute to the diagnosis. That, it's a little bit the same that you do when you are like changing your password. This is the CAPTCHA concept, where this is using it's not just checking that you're a human, it's also digitizing, in this case, some words from some old books, scientific research. These were the first collective diagnosis. Okay, that was the concept. What I told you before was really interesting because, even the Lancet wrote about us without telling us, or I got an invitation to go to the White House, to the Office of Science and Technology from the Obama administration to advise on collaboration and this kind of crowdsourcing things. Even a YouTuber make a video. Anyway, but the idea is that when you go to the ground, you start to understand, okay, which are the real needs. You need to match what is research with what is like operations and how to solve the real problems. And this is where now, more than 1 year ago, we decided to turn all our research initiatives into a startup, into a spin-off, which is called Spot Lab. We got help from the European Union, from Ashoka Foundation, here from the program MTiH ETSIT-UPM for entrepreneurship, and recently from MTiH Health. And this is a Spot Lab, okay? And essentially, a Spot Lab lies in the middle of three fields. One is Internet of Medical Things. We are creating these devices. Another one is image diagnosis. And the last one is artificial intelligence. Because what we learned is that, while people were playing and analyzing the images, that also allows us to train artificial intelligence algorithms. So in the future, you can have an assisted detection. Okay, so this is the three things, the three pillars of our system. On the one hand, we do devices. We have a robotic microscope, and we have a portable retina screening device. We have a platform that allows this like connection. It's a remote connection. I mean, it's really simple. We call it almost like the WhatsApp for medical doctors, because the reality is that today doctors are taking pictures and sending images in WhatsApp. Okay, and the last part is automating this image analysis is either by artificial intelligence or with the game. Okay, here is hybrid between, let's say, human and machines. So our devices, this is, you can see here, like the portable scanner, the retina device, and the platform. The idea is that we develop these products together with the clients. I think that's one of the main concepts. It's not I'm going to design it and then test it at the end. I'm continuously testing how this works. The thing is that in the digital world, for internet companies, it's very easy. I do a web page and I iterate and I see what's going on, how I'm selling. I mean, I can work in real time. In the biomedical sector, the time scales are longer. Okay, and that the key is how you can shorten them. I mean, is terms of months, is weeks. I mean, what's the real time scale? So I mean, we do all the vertical from hardware to software. I mean, to AI. Okay, and this maybe is something which also places us in a strange place vis-a-vis competition, because typically you have companies, big biomedical companies that make medical devices, or you have software companies like Google or Apple that now are entering the market of like analysis of images. We want to take the full vertical. As I said, the idea is that we do iterations as fast as we can without breaking anything, but as fast as we can, and we do this with our medical users and partners. So the key is trust. I mean, you need engineers and medical doctors to speak the same language. So, I mean, we have worked with Clinic in Barcelona. We have a very good partnership with 12 Octubre here. We are, in November, we are piloting a project for diagnosis of leishmaniasis in Colombia, funded by the World Health Organization. And the idea is that you can like make your products while you test them in real conditions. The business model is a hybrid between software, and this is where we are in the middle of these two worlds. Software as a service, this is the platform, the algorithm, artificial intelligence, and the side of the hardware where we have real hardware devices. We've manufactured them with 3D printing. Okay, this is another bit. What if you could have a just-in-time for medical devices? What if you could just distribute the production in different places, so also you minimize the carbon footprint? That's another part of what we are working on. Okay, so we do hardware and software, and a very important thing is that we have a very multidisciplinary orchestra. We have really a great team. Now we are 14 people with many different backgrounds. We have experts in business, in legal and regulatory, so we are working towards the CE mark of our products. We have biomedical engineer, industrial engineer, telecommunication engineers, computer science engineer, biologist, medical doctor. At some time, we have a bit. So the idea is that in this shared space, we understand and we learn how to speak each other languages. And I think it's something that's going to be really useful for you in the future, if you can translate between technology and medical needs. So this is the pictures of our office. We also have a gender plan where we are reaching now 50-50. We want to do a company that has a social impact and that does everything as it should. Okay, so we want to hire everyone as it should be hired. We want to be responsible with environment. We want to have gender parity. We want to make business, but we want to do it right. As we say, we prefer even giving 1 million diagnoses at €1 that one diagnosis at 1 million euros. Okay, that's the thing. So that's our goal, is to have also a social impact. So we have now some internship opportunities open in case you want to join us. This is the webpage, and I will be happy to discuss now and later any ideas you may have. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Miguel. I think that sorry for the starting point that we have some difficulties with changing the computer. But I think that was also a very interesting, very exciting just presentation. With you see, we selected 3 different just types of companies that I think that all of them very, very well just define it with a lot of work, but with a lot of also of enthusiasm that is crucial just to do it. Therefore, let's continue with the next one. I hope that we'll manage just again to shift. You know, there are some, we say we are just also streaming just the presentation to other sites. And well, we have several technical issues that have to be continuously managed online. That is one of the difficulties. Well, I'm going then just to introduce to the next one, the WIBI, that will be presented by Dr. Juan Carlos Ondategui Parra. He's a co-founder of this company. He's optometrist, PhD and Master of Science, and he's a senior lecturer in optometry at the Faculty of Optics and Optometry, and a senior research and development vision scientist. He has a lot of experience in all these fields, a referee of new products for different companies within the industry, and more than 25 years of experience on instrumental and clinical devices for vision, and with some books and more than 100 international contributions and more than 30 papers published in journals. Within the company is also Mrs. Eva Garcia Ramos, that is the CEO and co-founder. She tried just to come, but she had many other commitments around, because you know that is just to have a company running like this, it requires, as I said, efforts to move, just to find funds and to be in several just areas. And Eva was just willing to come, but at the end she did not manage. But nevertheless, we have in that case Dr. Ondategui. Please, I hope that you can start. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Okay. Good morning, first of all, Enrique. Thank you, UPM, and the rest of the students. Thanks to stay here, and thanks to work in this amazing area and to try to combine different things. Well, our story, as Enrique said, I am optometrist. I work several years with several patients, especially in visual dysfunctions. What is this visual dysfunction? The problems the visual function has 3 stages. One of them is the optical. We are compensated with glasses, contact lenses. The second one is neural, the control of the eye movements, the control when we try to reading the jump of our eyes following the letters. And the third one is the psychical, the codify and decodify the information that we can see. Well, this part is very important in children. Why? Because they are trying to learn to, at the beginning, he tried to learn to read, and after that, we read to learn. And in this phase, it's very important that the visual problems can limit the process. Well, this is my part. We try to develop different instrumentations to measure with the high accuracy. It's the best instrument. All of them stay in the desk. Why? Because the concept was to work to develop the best instrument, but we forget the market. Until in another project, we start to work with Eva. Is an engineering and communication, have a hard background in business development and telecommunications development, working with well-known companies as Gamesa Siemens. And their concept in telecommunication is to know how to arrive at all the people in an easy way and combine the technology and the science. Well, our product, is I changed my glasses. You are seeing my glasses. And glasses is part of our solution. In our solution, we try to improve the quality of life of children. We try that the children can play with different games to improve and to test their vision. Well, let me explain the problem. In Europe, there are more or less 152 million of children. 15 of these 50 million of children have severe visual dysfunctions. These problems are limiting their development in an academic way, in personal and social way. Not always is it the children that they have problems to read or problems to understand. Is the children is always stopping with different ways. Have problems to play, for example, a basketball because it's impossible for them to perceive in the peripheral field the rest of their mates, and is a limitation for them to do a combination in a team. Well, the problem, 50% of these children are undiagnosed. But it's not this the only problem. And you can see here, this is a laser, could be, yes. Sometimes we can see double. Why? Because our eyes are not alienated exactly in the same way to try to identify something. You are seeing the screen, you try to see your mobile, you can see double. Could be in the far way, could be in a near vision. Or we can have inability to find focus. For example, when you are very, very tired or after a party, you try to read your WhatsApp is very difficult. Why? Because your ability to focus is not enough. And to try to read 10 minutes, half an hour is impossible. And when you try to jump for read, what are you doing? We do a jump, we do a fixation, and we try to identify all the letters and try to do another jump. If our jumps are amazing, changing the direction, and in our brain we have different letters, we have different meaning. And another problem is how our brain identify the order of this letter and the order of the meaning of we can read to understand and to communicate. Well, another problem is the misdiagnosis. 20% of patients diagnosed with dyslexia, or 30% of the patients diagnosed with ADHD treated with drugs are diagnosed with visual dysfunctions. This is a very huge problem. Why? In the ADHD, these patients are the neurology, the psychiatrists use amphetamines to control the behavior of the patient. The patient needs to stay so quiet, to stay to avoid the problems in the school with the teacher. These children, in this moment, they have two problems. One, the visual problem, and the second one, the medication, the drugs. The third problem, who is the third problem? The third problem is they have a big lack in information in their learning, and they have, we have a big problem, because these children arrived with 20 years and they have a very difficulties to introduce and in our society. Well, who detect this problem? Obviously, parents and teachers. Who can treat these problems? The optometrists. Nowadays, the treatment is manual, is with a low accuracy, and is very expensive. Each physician needs more or less 1 hour or more for session. And the reproducibility of the treatment, the reproducibility of the measures is very, very bad. This is the reason that we developed Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is an integration of hardware, software, and services. We offer a cognitive assessment of the problems we in the same device we offer the customized plan of treatment of these dysfunctions, all in one. We are measuring with high objective systems. We have a lot of sensors, as Adriana and Alex, and we control the position of the children in a free movement in front of the screen. The children are gaming are playing different gamings and grab the attention. The problem to do the therapy is very boring because in a manual systems, all the patients needs 1 hour or more always with the same way and repeat week per week. And nowadays, the children go to play and to arrive at new levels. Well, could be the most important things in a company is the founders at the beginning. The founders obviously they need to find the good relationship, the compensation of these backgrounds, and it's very important the background in experience and how is the communication between them. And after that, the more important and is the team. We have in this moment more than 30 engineers, optometrists, developers working in our team to develop the different areas of our product. Important as the rest of the companies is the advisors. The advisors are joining us in this way to arrive try to maintain all the time the same way. And obviously, the partnerships is very important to combine, to stay with them, because to do this way alone is very hard. And several times you will feel very, very alone. Well, remember, there are 50 million of children waiting you because we would like to help us to improve children's visions. Well, to finish, I would like to give advices. Advice is very difficult. At the beginning of these companies, I try to grab attention with some advices, and it's very difficult to give some advice. Why? Because each company, each team, each project are different, and it's very difficult to know the real needs of all of them. 4 ideas. When we try to identify a good idea, it's not true. We need, to define objectives. These objectives need to be a real novelty. And after that, to arrive at a real solution. A real solution to give some solution at the population, not at our intentions. After that, you really have the first good idea. The second is the teamwork. The teamwork is our main stage and is the most important thing. It's people to work. It's not people to go to take beers. Sometimes it's important, but you need to organize and to plan every milestone to arrive. The way is not easy. It's very, very difficult to arrive. And the partnerships, for example, MTiH Health, in our case, IBM and other companies, is very useful. Could be is the main way to arrive, because sometimes we lost the way. We sometimes appear another ways around us. It is very difficult to maintain your objectives. If you define very well your first objectives, could be arrived more or less at this idea. Usually not. And the last one, patience, 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 is a marathonian run. And Joyce Meyer said, patience is not the ability to wait, but the ability to keep a good attitude while waiting. This could be my main advice for you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. I will try just to invite to all the speakers of the three companies just to come here, please. Because I think that this now we are going just to open just discussion for this presentation before going to the final one with Professor Gonzalo León. Okay, I think that has been a great opportunity to have all of you here. Again, I would like to give my thanks because I know that for some of you, a great effort was just to try to, again, to match agendas and also to come to Madrid that are not coming from other places. Okay, please, it's your turn now. Questions about that? Yes, we try to use the microphone. Thank you.
I have several questions, but I am going to go one by one.
Can you hear?
I have several questions, one for each one, but I am going to start with one and afterwards maybe another one. And the first one is for you. I can't remember your name.
Miguel.
Sorry, Miguel. Okay, if I understood, your idea or what you are doing is to cover to all the end-to-end solution by your own. My point is, why do you decide this? Have you not think in making any partnership with others and to focus you in your core business? Or
Okay, so I mean, the decision of making the full vertical from end to end of the image diagnosis is, I think because now I think the market is segmented again between, on the one hand, the ones that produce the classic biomedical companies that produce these devices to get the images, and then you have new players trying to get the AI stuff in the middle. What happens? The one that gets the data is the one that can do the analysis. And why this doesn't work is because the data that gets in is not harmonized. So our idea is that by getting early, by getting the image, we will have the possibility to develop ad hoc digital solutions, including artificial intelligence methods that analyze this data. So in that sense, we are proposing something that at least right now is not, is not yet there, but is in the strategy of the AI companies. So if 3 months ago, Apple released their strategy on healthcare, and the idea is, okay, we need to use the iPhone to get the data, because if not, we cannot compete in this space. So the same way that these companies will approach the medical manufacturers, the medical companies will approach the others. We want to do the vertical in the middle, and then there is one thing here, which is there are some medical acquisition devices which are really old. If you look at them, it's like technology from 20 years ago. The microscopes are the same for the last 100 years. Retina screening devices, they are like that big. You can do this with a thing like that. So there is a way to have the next level in the medical devices. And once you are connected, you can include things that look like more than Instagram, than the software that you have today in a hospital.
Okay. Thank you. You have another question?
Maybe they can go and afterwards I go to another.
Well, whatever you wish. Okay, thank you. Yes, another question? Yes, on the right side.
This is a question for all of us, or for you. You have 3 companies and they are successful and all that, but when you are creating something, there's a moment when you think, okay, this could help people and I can make money with this. What is that thing that triggered that and that encourage you to create that companies?
Okay, can we start? Yes, well, successful companies, not yet, because we're still developing. We have any product in the market. So, we are raising funds, but until you have a product with and you reach break even, you're not a successful company. So there is still a large path for us. But what encourages us? was speaking with many patients, see that there was an unmet clinical need. There was something that was not solved by current technology, and that we could do it, and we could do it at a good price for them, so we can offer a solution, and the market was big enough to make profit if we make it worldwide. So that was.
Well, I absolutely agree with him. We are startups. We are growing up. We are pushing to arrive to the market. You are staying in the prototype. We stay in the beta product. We try to arrive to the market next year, and could be in the future will be a successful companies. We don't know. Our motivation. In our case, both. In the case of Iva, was a personal motivation. His mother had a neurological disease and was detected at when her mother was 50. At 60, died. Pass. And the problem could be detected previously of this situation, and could be do a lot of more things and to improve the quality of life of her mother. In my case, it's different. I treat a lot of patients during a lot of years, and my team arrived to give services only to 10, 30 patients per week. And I know there are a lot of population without this treatment. Only 1% of the optometrists around the world are giving these services. Only 2% of the population with these problems, visual dysfunction, are treated. This is a good opportunity to develop or to think in a new concept to give these services at the population.
I mean, I agree with my colleagues, and the first is identifying the medical need. But also there is, I mean, one thing that I think is worth mentioning is that we and you can decide how the future is going to be, how we want, I mean, our future to be. And this is where I think we have to focus in things that we like, that we motivate, that we think are fair, that we wake up in the morning and we say, okay, I want to work in health because I believe it's worth a key. And then once you find the medical need and the motivation, the technology will arrive, technology is advanced exponentially, and the money will arrive. I don't think that's a problem. But as this, one of the first employees from Facebook said, Jeb Hamabaka, that later founded the Cloudera, he said, it's not possible that the best minds of my generation are working on making people click in ads in internet. And that's the reality, okay? So I think, I mean, you're already working in health. You're already in, I guess, in the direction that at least for me is good. But then, I mean, I think is just thinking about how can I solve a problem, a real medical problem, and then all the rest, I mean, will follow.
Okay, thank you. I think that the comments were, I think that very clear, because it's true. We are all of us here to solve problems, because in a very just challenges area, because we are in the biomedical engineering field, we are in the health technology market, and we are exactly is what you must have all, and we all have in our minds, that we are just studying, getting experience to solve problems to people, just in that case, patients, professionals, and I think that very good examples here of companies that we have. Okay.
Just I want
yes,
to
please,
add just one thing. As Miguel said, yeah, I think that the thing that triggered us to start this idea and become this, turn this into a business, was the possibility of building something out of nothing, something that building like our future out of nothing. And this was something that I think that also Alex, for example, that jumped. He was working in a company. He had a good salary, and we offered, our conditions were nothing. I mean, now, yes, we are raising funds, so we have no salary. But he decided to jump, I think, because of this, because there was a possibility to create a future, to create a better future, to help people. So this was our story.
Yes. He sold me the idea of joining by telling me, can you imagine all these people on the wheelchair on the street? If one day they were all wearing able and they were walking as we walk. And when you have this ultimate goal, which is helping people, it's impossible to refuse at the end.
Thank you. Okay, more questions? Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. This is very important because when you have the intention, the objective, to arrive to more or less to define the solution, you need a lot of months to create this. Because you always imagine what is the best solution. The best solution is opposite to the real solution. Because you need to simplify prices, materials, and the opportunity to work with the patients. In your case, I am absolutely convinced that when you start with the problem, you thought that the best way for them is this, but the patient said no, it's this. I need this. And to identify the real needs is very important. And after that, to transform our knowledge in help them. This is could be one of the key points in the best to arrive to define the first milestones in the company.
I mean, and having said that, I think in my company, one of the principles is compass over maps. So we don't know what is the map, but we know the direction. We know where we want to arrive.
Okay, thank you. I have just another question from there. Let me just introduce yourself.
Yes. My name is Luis Pereira. I'm coming from Portugal, and I'm country director in Medtronic, Portugal. Medtronic is a big medical devices company in the world, it's really amazing to see these three companies started exactly like mine, with a vision and a mission. This is very important for the sustainability of the companies for the future. My point is, you are in the medical devices market where the speed is essential. And sometimes you people from engineer education, you want to be perfect. You are looking for the perfection. And my advice should be, if you have a product, if you have a plan, launch it. And launch it even known that you have the second step already in your mind, because the speed is like 18 months to 24 months. You have to upgrade your product in the market. Otherwise, you die. The second advice is very, very short. And I had the experience in Portugal with Medicine University and IST as well. They were developing a new technology that was a heart mapping system, non-invasive map heart system. And they are developing, I called my engineers from Minneapolis. They arrived to Lisbon and they said, oh, this is a good idea, but we are doing the same in Moscow and Israel, exactly the same idea. So when you have an idea, there is someone in China, someone in the world, having exactly the same idea. So how are you dealing with this? And my real question is, how do you work in cluster? Not in Spain only, but maybe in the European or international cluster to develop, because sometimes you need your neighbor to be faster.
Okay. I guess two things here. I agree with you. We try to go as fast as possible. And again, the idea is the key question here is, what is the shortest iteration time scale that you can have for a biomedical company? Okay, that's the question, and that you have to shorten as much as you can. So that I agree. And then the other working we assume that others are doing the same, and this is one of the reasons of my first question. Not few people do software and hardware. This is why we think the integration is a shot, and then we try to find partners to work with. We have partners. We are going global. Certain places where we think our technology could work better, but I guess the EIT is a good opportunity for finding more partners.
Well, in our case, always we are doing a strict vigilant of the standard of art, and we have contacts around the world, even in technology. In my case, in optometry, I stay in around the world doing different conferences with the different groups of research, and we need some we are doing some collaborations with different universities for this project. It's very important, and this is the only way to arrive at time, because the time is important. In this moment, could be, and we don't have any competitor, because in the patents you can see until past 1 year and a half. And this is a real problem to see the real competitors. And you need to do a real revision of state of art each month to know where is the research moving. Another thing is how is the market moving. And we try to combine this. It's crucial in our case.
I totally agree with your idea. I think that if we try to develop all the ideas we have in mind about, for example, this exoskeleton, we will develop this product for 10 or 20 years after. So it's important to have priorities, to reach objective. And for example, now we are trying to develop this product that has these features, not more, only these ones, and then release this product to the market, see how the market responds to this product, and then keep iterating, keep creating new versions. But I think speed, it's really important. And what differentiates startups from big corporations is speed also. But since we don't have all the money that these corporations have, what we do is to create alliances with these companies, as we did, in order to have in-house all this power of development, for example.
One last thing, I guess that one reflection on one of the differences, I mean, there is something that's happening, which is like in the digital health space, okay? And that maybe is not going to be the same space as we are used in the hardware space. Because let's say, I mean, Facebook didn't patent the social network, and then you have Twitter, and then you have Instagram. So the innovation, I mean, because software somehow is, I mean, in some places not patented, the innovation in software goes more like that. Even sometimes you can like open source, and that leverages the others. So it may happen that in the future, the innovation in the digital health space is more about running than about patenting. Okay, that might change something. And this is an open question, what's going to happen in the middle?
Yeah, I want to add regarding the iterative development. We are like thinking about engaging possible customers during all the development period. So each new feature, each new development, they are informed and they are asked to give feedback so that we are really aligned with the market. And this is something we are thinking about doing.
And another point is important is not to arrive to the market with the best product, with a minimal product viable. MPV is our way to arrive at time, in the real time at the market. Not with the best product, with the MPV. This is it's very difficult to arrive to decide the MPV, because as a scientist, I would like the best. As an entrepreneur, I need only the MPV.
When we are close, very close to the best, some disruptive technology comes and kill your product. So
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We
Thank
have
you.
just time for maybe two short questions. I have several. Sorry, introduce yourself, Professor.
Philippe Sabatier, Professor Grenoble University. So very short question. Design thinking, starting the development from the people is very, very important, especially in the field of health. But in another way, especially in the European area, you have the reimbursement because the customer is not paying for the service. And it's very complicated for startup in the medtech to access to the market. So EIT is European organization, but is it not necessary for you to imagine that you can reach the market in another place, China, US, and so on?
Well, to arrive to the market, in our case, with my background, we arrive to the market only working with the big chains of optical chains in Europe. There are only 200. We have signed agreements for develop the business plan and the business model and the product with them, and they are follow these 2 years. And we arrive, the beta product is working with them. It's a different way to arrive. It's difficult because to work not only with the director managers, In my case, I have the director managers, but I know the optometrist in the street. He buy our idea, and I working with optometrists to offer you this point. It's difficult to arrive to concept of the company could buy your product. Another thing is that the people work with your product. This is a very difficult combination. In our case, I had access to the CIOs of the companies and react to the market with them.
Okay, I think the last question just for this panel, but because we have to continue with the last talk in the morning, then this first session.
Well, Monica Oliveira from the University of Lisbon. I was just out of curiosity to know how much energy are you devoting to early and formal health technology assessment? Because we know that if you want to have public funding, it will be essential to show cost effectiveness and other issues, but it's quite also complex for the type of technologies that you are developing to measure that. I was interested to understand if you are already investing on that.
It's not an easy question. I mean, I guess that for an investor to give you money, you need to make that sort of analysis. That I think we all have made that, and you see, how you are placed vis-a-vis competitors, and then if you are giving a substitution or a new product, what is the solving? So, in terms of percentage of time doing that, I'd say that in our case, just doing that has been a big chunk of the beginning, of the moment where we raised the first round of funds, and then as we have said before, we are developing the product with our customers, or what we want to be our ambassadors. So we have 7 customers that are testing our products. They are the ones also that serve us as measure the temperature of what's going on. Maybe we are missing part of that, but the idea is that after you have initially mapped, having following some key players that can allow you to know what's going on.
Any final comment? Yes.
In our case, it's a little bit different because this is important, but for us that we sell this direct to consumer. We have a direct B2C model, so the patient is paying for that. It's not a product that it's reimbursed. Exoskeletons are not reimbursed in Europe. So we have this if we go to the hospitals. If we sell these exoskeletons to hospitals, then we will have to make these calculations about the health assessment, how many we save to these hospitals. But since we are focused on the patients, what we do more is to listen this patient, and develop according to this.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that it was a very interesting session that we have to continue. Thank you to all of you, and we are going just to go to the final just a keynote speaker on this morning session. Thank you to all of you.
Thank you.
Okay, it's a real just honor and also a pleasure just to introduce the last speaker of this before going just to have some breakfast or second breakfast. That is Professor Gonzalo León. Professor Gonzalo León is the Deputy Rector for Innovation Partnership of the Universidad Politécnica de Madrid, and he's a full professor of telematics engineering here in this Faculty of Telecommunication Engineering. He is the former General Secretary of Science Policy in Spain, Deputy Director General for International Relations, and Vice Director at the Office of Science and Technology of the Prime Minister's Office. And also has been Vice President for Research at the UPM and Director of the Center for Technology Innovation, KITE. As he will explain, I think that we have been in this university working for more than 15 years in the field of innovation and in many areas, specifically in health. And Professor Gonzalo León, really the beginner and the creator and director of this Center for Technology Innovation. Today, Professor Gonzalo León is the Spanish representative in the Strategic Forum for International Cooperation of the European Union, as director of the Technology Board of Human Brain Project, and senior advisor of the Secretary General of Science and Technology. I think it's a real pleasure just to have you all here, just to finish this morning session, and we'll be just speaking about all this field of innovation in entrepreneurship in health, if we manage just to project.
Well, thank you, Enrique. Good morning to everybody. It's a pleasure to stay here. I arrived yesterday from San Francisco, and I have something like jet lag, but I'll try to be recovered as soon as possible. My colleagues are trying to provide you with the slides.
Yes.
I hope that
again changing from from one slide.
But anyway, let me start. Let me start from my side, because I've received the idea that I need to motivate you. Then to motivate you, the first thing is that I don't like it. I'll try to speak here. I have a very good voice, but anyway, I understand that you need to record everything. Then I need to use this micro here in the middle. But anyway,
and also because some people somewhere.
I know. That's the reason that I will stay. And then probably the camera needs to follow me. But that's part of the game. That is also part of the innovation process. You know that you are here to solve everything in the future. I'm close to retirement next year. That doesn't matter. But I trust on you. You need to solve our problems, and we need to educate. This is the problem. We need at the university is just to create people to be able to solve problems that there are. And in many cases here in the universities, we are trying to create people to find solutions for inexistent problems, and that's not true. We need to find solutions for problems that people have. And then the social impact of research and innovation, it's very important to do. It's very important. Some of the previous speakers said, you need to listen to patients. For sure. You need to listen to people. And people are there with problems to solve. And that's very important. That's very important. What is the situation in Europe? Well, in Europe we have something that is very, very strange in some sense. And we need to change it. Usually, innovators are not very well rewarded. If you start with something, imagine a spin-off, you see, and you fail, you fail. You were one of the stupid guys that have tried to say something, and then finally you need to close the company. And then nobody is writing in the CV, I will try to create one company, but it fails. I tried another one, it is failed again. I tried a third time, it failed again. In United States, for instance, the situation is very different. They say, no, I need to put it to write it in the CV. This is important. This is the guys I need, because they have learned a lot from the experiences. You learned a lot from bad experiences. From the very beginning, people were motivated to launch things, to stimulate the creativity and think what is happening. What is happening in the market? What is happening? We're trying to convince everybody about that. And then, well, we'll see. Probably the success will arrive the fourth time, fifth time. Doesn't matter. And sometimes, large company, you are from one of the large companies, probably many of the managers, large managers of large companies, are looking for people that could behave as entrepreneurs in the company itself. Because the most important thing is not just only to create a new company, it's just to be able to have this entrepreneurial mentality in anything you try to do. That's very important. But then we need to do that from the very beginning, even during the educational process. In the kindergarten, here in Spain, just to put here an example, if your children speak a lot, you receive a phone call, what happened with your children because they are speaking every time? In other countries, you receive a phone call if your children are not speaking at all. This is another way to motivate people from the very beginning in your life. But what is the situation in Europe? Well, I tried to do some messages. This is a formal presentation, but anyway, I understand that you can collect the slides anyway. But just, do you know this curve? It's very well known. It was produced by Rogers in the 60s. But the idea is that to say, if you consider how population reacts against technology, that only a small percentage of them behave as innovators. They like to start to play with the new things from the very beginning, even if something is not totally complete, even if there are some failures. Don't worry, because my idea is to experiment with them and try to understand at what extent this technology could solve some problems. With a lot of problems, maybe. Others are early adopters. Yeah, there's not the initial one, at least things should be more or less stable, but they like even to work from the very beginning with the new advances. Others, yes, early majority, well, they are waiting more. They need to be clearly stable there. Then others that are the late majority. Well, less I'm pressed to change. I don't like to change it. And others are laggards. They never change. They change because probably things they are using are not in the market. What is the structure of our society here? How many innovators or how many early adopters we have? Or everybody is like a laggards? What should be the consequences on society of that? Is it possible to modify the behavior of citizens and then to move them on the left side of this curve? At the end, everybody follow the yellow line. At the end, say, well, new technology will be adopted. Today, everybody has adopted the use of smartphones. Everybody has something like that in the pocket. But not initially. And the same happens with many things about medical devices or other kinds of drugs. Obviously, society needs to be a precautionary principle. We cannot, in terms of health, to use anything at any moment, because we need to be sure that there are not negative side effects on citizens of that, for sure. But imagine what is the level of risks that society with respect to technology will accept. I was in San Jose yesterday or 2 days ago, in the Silicon Valley. And then part of the city is open now for automated vehicles, driverless. Because now the society has decided that it's very good for them. Because they can innovate there and they can attract more investments and more people trying to test the vehicles or the solutions there. And then many European companies are located there because it's not possible to test the things here in Madrid. Forbidden. Yeah, of course. Our society is very safe. No problems at all. Yeah, no problems at all. Think about the consequences, because this is a consequence you need to verify during the rest of your professional life. Now let me continue. With this part of motivation, I'm trying to do that. In Europe, what is happening? Well, in Europe we have a lot of problems. I don't like to speak about all problems we have in Europe, but it's true that years ago we tried to create the context to address a new way of connecting research, education, higher education, and innovation. This so-called knowledge triangle. We are wonderful in Europe to invent. In Brussels, we invent wonderful terms for everything. And then here, the idea is that from the educational perspective, we invented the Bologna process. This is the European higher education area where everything should change. We invented the European research area, where in fact we try to get the research much more relevance into the activities of Europe, even in our budget, in the European budget. And then innovation was much more difficult to do that because it was not a single context. But at the end, we managed to have industrial, regional industrial policies, and then part of it was embedded into the Horizon 2020, which is the research and innovation program. We have today the creation of the European Institute of Technology as a part of the process. And then here, everything, this triangle, should be the basis for connecting better the activities of innovation, education, and research by creating some kind of interaction between universities and public research organizations, administration, and enterprises working together. And then it was a challenge for everybody here. Not only from universities, because we need to change the educational curricula, for sure, but to give the curricula in connection to research and in connection to innovation. And this is part of the problems we have. Then the question is that if we like that this kind of triangle will work in the future, we need to embed into the process of innovation and entrepreneurship things like, well, we need to have a specialized training for professionals working in this area. And unfortunately, in our curricula, these concepts of innovation and entrepreneurship were marginal parts of the curricula. We need also to promote the creation of a spin-off and startups by going to the trenches and trying to give people the opportunity to play with their ideas and to be supported in this process. I don't know to what extent you have received the formal education or entrepreneurship in your engineering degrees. Probably nothing. Don't worry. The question is not there. The question is to offer you some opportunities to test your ideas by having some kind of support, even if this kind of support is not, at this moment, included into the curricular process. And then we need also to deal with the exploitation of research results. It's a pity that in many, many projects, when people is finishing the research project, they are looking for additional funds in another project and then to forget the previous one. Just to prepare another proposal to be submitted everywhere and then to have additional funds for that. And what is happening with exploitation? This is not my role. I will come back here. On the other hand, you need also to have a clear concept about technology intelligence. We cannot solve any solution. Right? You said that in Hong Kong or in other countries, other people will work on the same ideas. For sure. And then you need to know not only if other people are there, but also to be sure about what should be the evolution of some kind of key technologies for your ideas in the future. And this is very important. You need to anticipate things. And you need to learn how to anticipate things. It's not so easy. You know that economists are wonderful trying to predict the past. The problem is to predict the future. I know. It's just much more difficult. But anyway, you need to have some tools to understand how to create a road mapping processes for sites, activities, and then to analyze, at least to be sure that your idea is not, will not be in a place where practically the technology will disappear in a couple of years because it's obsolete now. That you cannot start with a new idea based on obsolete technology. Not obsolete now, they are using that. Yeah, but probably will become obsolete in 2 or 3 or 4 years. And 4 years is when you have finished and you enter into the market. Too late. You need to have this idea from the very beginning. And then in some cases, you need to have support platforms to connect users and to contact with them and then to receive early feedback from users. It's easier to do, but it depends. It depends. Because in some cases, you could have, software platforms where you could create an application and to put the application on the platform and then to see what happens with 100 users. 100 users is not enough. You will need millions. 10 million, 100 millions. No, but this is not possible because I cannot scale up. You cannot scale up. Then what kind of feedback you need? Only for 20 friends? It's not enough. Or you are working with skeletons. Exoskeleton, wonderful. At home? And people are running the corridor of your flat? No. You need to have partners. You need to work with others. And then, in order to have all these elements included into the educational context, into the professional context, into the European context, we need to work together. And this is a very important point. Look at the concept of research and development projects. Hopefully, all of you will work in research and development project with a big R or minor R or more D or less. It depends. But at the end, probably you will be involved in projects during part of your professional life. Probably over time, you will devote more time to management issues and less on technical issues. But at the very beginning, you will start on that. And then, well, probably this kind of projects will be funded. Money is also there through. Thank you very much. Doesn't matter. It's okay. Yeah. Perfect. Through research agencies, they pay for that. Or through private resources, some companies, Petronics, would pay some of that. or just depending on the organization through internal resources. But at the end, the problem is that this kind of projects that you could invent should be clearly devoted to solve something, to solve some kind of problems, to understand better one problem and then to provide some solution, even if this solution is not perfect. Life isn't perfect. Then don't worry. The concept of minimum viable product, etc., is just simply to say, well, I'll try to do something that I can control, and then probably next year I could do it better if I receive more money and clear feedback from users about that. It would be even better if you put here another functionality. Perfect. Now we are buying a lot of things with functionality we never requested. Huh? Then anyway, with this idea, this kind of research project should understand from the very beginning what should be the needs of other stakeholders in the process, then to be considered there. And basically, when we're speaking about applied research, it's very important to understand what to do with the resources at the end. Thinking in the university context, we have here a lot of projects like that, and then we need to see what happens. Well, first one is knowledge generation, for sure. Knowledge generation should be part of our responsibility. In universities, we need to advance the frontiers of knowledge. And then usually scientific publication or doctoral thesis are typical mechanisms we have in order to have this kind of knowledge generation. But this is not enough. In some cases, when we are here in an engineering school and we have a master's in engineering, we need to do and to have another further step, and then to think about exploitation of results. Sometimes exploitation is based on non-commercial exploitation. We are not trying to sell things, but I need to distribute it to others in order to advance this kind of knowledge, not only through papers, but also by using, databases that I have here with valuable data that others could use, or prototypes or any kind of things. But you need to support them. And you need to consider non-commercial exploitation as a part of the institutional strategy. If you are doing something, if you are creating any kind of prototype, think about what should be the users at the end. Well, the users could be located everywhere, not only here. Could be in Japan, I don't know. But you need to contact them, to offer them something, and then to receive the support and to create some kind of links with them over time. And in other cases, you could go, why not, through the commercial exploitation. In other terms, technology solutions sold to others, sold to companies, for instance, or licensed to external customers in some specific cases. I'm not speaking here about startups. This is a more general trend in universities or in other kinds of research center, public research center, trying to see, at the end, I need to demonstrate that the efforts paid by citizens, don't forget that, paid by taxpayers, should be useful for something. And something could be knowledge generation, for sure. But not only that. Another important point is that when you are doing any kind of research project, things are not mature enough. No, this is the thermometer of the so-called technology readiness levels. I don't know if you know this term, because it's very well known now. It was invented by NASA many years ago with the idea of having, I cannot put any strange technology in a satellite because if something happens, it's very difficult to fix the problems there. And then things should be very, very well consolidated, because if not, well, probably. Imagine, do you remember the telescope, the space telescope trying to correct the mirrors? It was not so easy and very expensive. Then at the end, when you are working at the end in a research project in universities, probably the maturity level of the results should be, I don't know, tier 2, 3. At the end, you need to go to the level 9 to enter into the market. And then what is happening in the middle? Well, in the middle, I need to mature things to be able to create proof of concepts, and then to have the feasibility of things, the scalability, the cost, etc. This is not only a technical problem. It's a problem of putting things into the market, and it means to control a lot of different things, and it takes time. It takes time. Then, thinking on that, then now everybody, and when will you work in research projects, you need to consider that part of your results could be useful for academic valorization, perfect, or could be used for commercial valorization, both non-commercial of commercial. But in those cases, probably you need to protect things. But be careful about that. We are not speaking about patents. We are speaking about many other kinds of things. Putting here industrial secrets as one of the most. I remember that you said something about that. Yeah, for sure. Even in these cases. Why? Because you need to reach the market in a very short period of time. This is one of the problems. And then in many other cases, you need to enter into the market by keeping more or less under control the activity you are doing in your company or in your research group, it doesn't matter, and then to enter into the market as soon as possible. In drugs, probably the situation is different. But in things related to digital health, probably we need to think more about industrial secret or software registers, etc., and not only in terms of patents. I'm not saying that patents are useless. I think that is not the only way to do things. And that's very important. And the question is that, are the institutions ready to have an institutional strategy with respect to the valorization of research that we can transmit to our students or not? Very difficult to transmit to our students if you don't believe in it. Do you believe in it? Yeah, then you are ready to transmit it. That's the problem. That the percentage of people ready to transmit these kinds of things is just a fraction of the total number of civil servants working in universities in Europe. Of course, probably if we have success in applied research, we will have some pre-identified potential technology from one research project. But this is not enough. We need to mature and to go to something that we could enter as a part of technology licenses of sales, or even to feed up the creation of a spin-off or startups. And in the middle, what happens? In the middle? Why? In the middle is something like the maturity process of the technology working in proof of concepts, industrial proof of concepts. And this is the so-called product service development, etc. And the question is that for doing that, you need money, time, and partners, people, skilled people, to be able to work on that. Because the skills necessary for that are not the same as the skills necessary to do basic research. And then, doing that, you need to do, obviously, to understand the market. I agree, fully agree. You need to do market analysis at an international level, know local markets for technology. The second point is that you need to have the identification and cooperation with others that could be interested in the final product, and then to help in the marketing plans, formalization, launching agreements, etc. Everything that could help you in moving to the market. If we need to educate people to do all these kinds of things, now the question is that, do you have the skills necessary to cover all these steps? Or you are just simply playing with technical issues and then how to program things on application in Java or Python or any kind of a strange language? All of them will become obsolete in a couple of years, it doesn't matter. Or not? Or is it possible to give you a global understanding of the whole phenomenon? Because at the end you will work trying to solve the problem from a global perspective and not only from the technical side. Which is a very important point. Yes, if we have done, and we have people for that, we can even to motivate the creation of a spin-off, or not only the spin-off based on one specific entity, but also to motivate the creation of a spin-off with people working on different places altogether. Hopefully, the IT Health will provide the framework context to be able to launch a spin-off with the cooperation of several universities in the network. Which has not been used, has been the I&E coordinator for EIT Digital, another part of the IT, in the last 4 years. It was not easy, not easy to do, because the internal procedures in the universities in the network of EIT Digital close similar to here, are basically thinking in themselves and trying to pay attention to the key performance indicators of the isolated institutions. This is another problem. In some cases, you need to do this commercialization process by using other kinds of people, brokers, or licenses, directly licenses to pre-existing firms, or sales of IPR. But anyway, you need to do that to know how to negotiate with them. Negotiation is not a subject included in any curricula of engineering studies. And negotiation at the international level, not at all. Well, in EIT Digital, we have some experiences of including some courses on negotiation processes in the A&E, where people, master groups, are fighting with others in order to negotiate. To negotiate, for instance, the access to technology or sales of technology or something like that. But they're not necessarily because we like to create any kind of startup. No, it's because it should become one of the crucial points in your professional career in any company where you like to work. Any company. You will continue negotiating with everybody. With your wife or husband, with your children, with your father, with everybody, every time. And you need to know, we have tried to use that. See, these are two examples of the activity of the university in EIT Health. One is the Biotech Lab, where we're trying to create a group of people to motivate, coming from hospitals, in the sense, group of hospitals, people working in hospital just to see at what extent their ideas could be progress, good progress to the markets. And another one is market fit. We are trying to support European spin-offs in order to launch new activities into the market. These are two typical examples where universities are supporting the creation of these kinds of things at the international level. The things like that could be done. Now the question is that, if you believe that yes, I need to become an innovator from the future. I need to be, remember the curve, the Gauss curve? No, here in this part, because I need to convince the rest of my citizens that they need to play with new things, etc. Because if not, if everybody is waiting at the end that everything is solved, probably everything will be safer, but too late. That's a crucial point. And then how to do that into the educational process? Then part of the mission of the EIT and the knowledge and innovation community is to be able to embed all these kinds of elements into the master, PhD programs, or any other kind of professional schools, or all the, Ursula mentioned a lot of different tools and a scattered map of different kinds of instruments for doing that. Yes. And then that is the idea. The latest point is just to focus on creativity, innovation, entrepreneurship, distinguished by an EIT level. You are there. You are there. But if we think about what should be the components necessary to change the curriculum, to think about the type of skills we need for the future, probably we need to combine several things. International mobility? Yeah. Why? Because at the end, we need to have people that were fully convinced that they will work on several countries with people working in other countries continuously. Not an exception. It will not be an exception. It will be the common activity of any kind of engineering in the future. And then we need to show you how to do that with an international curricula. Yeah, because you need to start the creation of links with other students located everywhere. This is, again, part of the process. How many links we have with people in the network of EIT Health in other countries? Zero? Bah! You need to collect a lot of them to communicate them continually, because you will become part of your professional network for the future, which is a very important point. Ex-alumni network will play in Europe the same role that in many cases is playing in the United States. And we're far from it yet. Second point, we have to use a network of universities. We're doing that. We need to put more emphasis on innovation and entrepreneurship. We're trying to do that. We're trying to do that. But we need to continue the technical education, because it's part of the engineering or the master engineering courses. And we need to provide you with innovation ecosystems in order to develop your own career or your own educational process. And then when I'm saying here innovation ecosystem is that I need to interact with business angels, with business incubators, with startup creation programs, etc. And then practically all universities are creating something like that. The advantage is that with the IT Health, we can do that at the European level, which is also another dimension, very important for that. And we need to focus programs? Yes. Because in some cases, we need to give you some directions for the future. And that's also important. Is it the role of priorities or strategic priorities? The same that will happen in many other companies where they need to have strategic plans and with some main ideas. Probably in Medtronic, you have strategic plans every several years, updated every year, and so on, because it should be part of any kind of technology-based company for the future. And we need to interact with industry, which is very, very important. It's not possible to put things into the market, to fully exploit the results, just simply thinking in research groups working at universities. And then we need to provide it as a part of the educational process. From the very beginning, large and small companies, startups and very large multinationals, all of them are important in this process. And then obviously, if we need to have disruptive innovation, it should be done in close connection to research activities. And to research activity means that students, like you, should be closely connected to the activity of research groups and to give you the opportunity to complement your skills and to complement your interests and technical capabilities by working with research groups and research centers. And then the question and the challenge is to see if it's possible to put all together in the new conception of master studies. Well, with respect to the interaction with industry, that's clear that we have considered it as a very important point. And you need to conduct visits, internships in industries, working with them, working with case studies proposed by industries, etc. Because at the end, a huge percentage of the master students will work in industries. In the case of EIT, I don't know the figures in EIT Health, but in EIT Digital, we are running the master school in the last 5 years, 6 years, 5 years. Well, only 10% of the students have created any new company. And what is happening? No, the rest are 90% entrepreneurs working in companies. And let me use this term. Obviously, they are employees. But they are employees with an entrepreneurial mentality, which is the change, the big challenge to solve. And then that is the reason that we need to invite people to be sure that at the end you are interested and understanding the industrial context related to your activity. And then even in order to provide that, many universities have created a palette of instruments to provide it. I remember years ago when to have, for instance, the location of industrial units in university premises was created a lot of reluctance and saying, no, we don't like it because we don't like to sell the purity of our universities in hands of companies. It have changed slowly. Even the mobility was not clear. I was preparing my doctoral thesis in an industrial lab, not at the university, and at the end of the 70s. 70s, last century. And then at that time, it was not easy to do that because there was no general umbrella from the administrative and legal support to move from here to one industrial lab and then to do the doctoral thesis there. And why there? In an industry, why? For me, it was a very nice experience because at the end of the rest of my life, I could understand very well the problems from the other side of the barrier, which is very important to have this global. Now everybody is thinking now about industrial doctorates in some sense, okay? Slowly again. But we need to provide these possibilities. Even the possibility to have a partnerships, long-term partnerships, and then to work here with the capability to create joint units, joint research labs, join something with others, join things with others. No institutions over the world will have internally all the skills and knowledge they need to solve huge problems. Yeah, we have a lot of money and then we can hire everybody. It's not enough. Even if you try to hire people, it takes time and probably people are ready in other places. Work with them. Work with them. And that's very important. Then anyway, things have changed and this framework exists. Even in some cases, there are some specific living labs to support the proof of concepts of ideas. This is some photos of something that is here located in this school, just in the garden. You could see during the coffee break. There, and these are some photos of some house devoted to test here, some solutions for neuro diseases. And you have to see at what extent people could live alone there in these houses under control. And the control means that, well, we have here, this is the window there in the kitchen. Now it's not the window, it's like in the movies. We have people on the other side looking at these guys and see, and testing what is happening. But that's very important, even to test some kind of solutions in a controlled way. This is do you feel that this is a research lab? Well, it's an innovation lab. It's a different kind of concept. We are not dealing with very strange emerging technologies, no. But we are trying to do things in a way that probably could be useful to speed up, to accelerate the development of new solutions. And this is also very important thing. And it thus has derived in a new way of understanding the master curricula, where apart from the capacities to solve complex problems with advanced technology, looking for societal impact, don't forget that, and it corresponds to more or less 75% total. The rest is a cross-cutting set of users trying to give you the capacities and mentality to innovate and to create new tech-based startups. Even if this mentality for entrepreneur, as I said before, should be as an employee of one company. And this is the most important point where Europe is putting money. Why money? Why the European budget devotes 3,000 million euros in this kind of things? Because we are fully convinced that it is necessary to react. The quality of life of European citizens will depend on the capability to educate, to train and educate people with the right skills for the future. And we need to motivate you. We need to motivate you in this process. Then, well, in some cases, this is an example of the figures, key figures from the MTiH UPM program, right? You mentioned that, no? Then this is the 1917, where we received 450 ideas for doing something, for solutions. But many of them were crazy ideas, of course. Then, okay, don't worry. We killed half of them. But we retain 250, then we work with them in parallel to the studies as something which is optional and voluntary process, with people trying to create 70 business plans, and then at the end 20 startups were created. Wow. If all universities in Europe are doing the same, we will change the mentality of things, and we will be ready not to solve and to guarantee any kind of success for any startups. This is not the function, but at least to change the mentality or to help in changing the mentality of people, giving them the right skills to work for the future. That's very important. And this should be applied everywhere. I'm working now in one very large project, the European Union, because I was the Spanish representative in the steering committee of that, which is a human brain. Human brain is one of the Fed flagships, but it's an internal terminology into the European Union. But just to give you an idea, 100 million per year, 1,000 million in total in 10 years. Never. The European Union has paid a project with this dimension. But there were two, graphene and human brain, and now a third one on quantum computing. But anyway, it was something to say, why? We are putting here a lot of money. Because nobody knows what is the structure of our brain. We know partial information for sure. Something, we know something, obviously. But 86 billions of nerve cells are connected in a very strange sense, and nobody knows exactly what is the full map of the brain. And even worse, we don't know what is how these kind of neural circuits connect together to provide something like the behavior of people. Nobody knows that. There is a huge gap in the middle, not known. To have a map is very important. But let me use a Chinese proverb. A map is useless unless you know where to go. And then to create the detailed maps without knowing the function and the functionality as a global system is very difficult. Then we need to understand it. And this is one effort that probably, if you like to work in brain research, probably you have work to do during the rest of your professional life and your children and grandchildren. There is nothing to be solved in 5 minutes. And then, obviously, we need to manage a lot of data coming from different levels. At the molecular level, cellular level, circuit level, region level, the whole organ. Even if we have some techniques and data in separate scenes, nobody knows how to move up and down in this process. And we need to work more. It is a huge humankind challenge. And then we need people to work with that. And we need people with idea to have the technical knowledge necessary to work here, the capability to understand complex systems as a global scene, and the capability to extract some kind of solution useful for people in the middle of the way, which is this kind of mentality we are looking for. This is a huge project where we need, for instance, to simulate part of the brain. We haven't today the supercomputing power to do that, except with just thousands of neurons, but not millions and not billions. And then we are creating a lot of data. Remember that everything is working on digital health, where we need to connect a lot of new kinds of technologies here. And just to give you an idea about the key figures, 85-6 full-time research staff positions, researcher, a lot of scientific publications, etc. But then, and that's the problem, creating some kind of prototypes to be useful for the future. Now, working on neuroinformatics, on brain simulation, medical informatics, on high-performance analytics and computing, based for brain simulations, neuromorphic computing, and neurorobotics. Neurorobotics, for instance, could be a very important driver for the evolution of your field. And that's something that we need to provide for the future. And let me just move to the exploitation of results. The question is that, at what extent the development of this kind of projects with a lot of very good, excellent researchers could understand the complexity of the exploitation of results, where nobody has the skills necessary for that. We have here the same kind of problem we have with the typical curriculum of engineering. How to embed into the curriculum of engineering a lot of different things. The difference is that with the students, you could accept anything, because if not, you cannot pass and then you cannot obtain the degree. That is for sure. No problems at all. You will accept that. The problem here is that you need to convince people to do that, which is much more difficult. And people with 20 years or 30 years of professional career in research, which is also very important. I'm finished. Then, well, we are creating at this moment in the year an innovation and technology transfer node for the project, just to provide, and let me read the main activities, because they are closely related to the things that we were speaking when we said about the educational framework. identifying emerging break technologies, performing technology and market watch reports, supporting the evolution of prototypes to move TRLs up, training people on brain innovation and technology transfer, promoting the creation and the scale-up of startups, helping the creation of industrial hubs to motivate industries to work together. I see here a lot of possibilities to join forces with EIT in order to address these kind of things. And then, in fact, this is part of the high-level discussion we have in Brussels in order to create a global atmosphere where, at the end, the knowledge triangle, education, research, and innovation should work together, because the future of Europe is in your hands. And we need, and this is the role with your aid, with our aid, is just to provide the framework to do that. Thank you very much for your attention.
Okay, thank you. Oh, sorry, this is not working. Thank you very much, Professor Gonzalo León. I think that is always a pleasure just to learn from your exciting talks, and also just and just the way to motivate. That is, I ask you have to help to motivate all of you, and I think that is a very good expert on that. Okay, I think that, well, time is running, and probably we have to move just also to having something. But I think that before that, I think that I was expecting from you, maybe this one, no. Just well, a couple of questions. And if not, we can have time also during just the break, also to address Professor Gonzalo León and other speakers. Okay, hands up. Not too many at the same time. Okay, please.
Okay, you talk. Sorry, you talk about the need to focus in the exploitation too. So not only to research, to encourage this part and to work in this and to develop the skills for this. And I ask what we are already doing with this in order to get it.
Well, the situation is very different from one place to another. Here, we are in a technical university with everybody has a mentality to put things into the market, because at the end we're engineers. But you are moving to another type of faculty where they are doing with basic research, fundamental research. They feel that it's nothing to do with them. Nothing we do to them has a problem. That even in the case they are inventing something useful, they say that they haven't the skills, but they don't like to have these skills, because they feel that there will be other people that could collect these kinds of results and then move the results to the market. My experience here in this university, I was the former vice president for research, 9 years, was that it's very difficult to do that without the active cooperation of researchers. You could create a group of people in charge of putting things into the market, etc., but at the end, without the cooperation of researchers, it's very difficult to do that, because you need them in order to know at what extent the technology could be adapted and modified in a flexible way to adapt the needs for the market. And then you are working totally isolated in two different fields. That's very difficult to do that. Then I think that part of responsibility, and this is part of things that we are doing, is just to create this kind of bridges. One of the problems running here at the university is to train researchers on this kind of things for 40 hours. Well, 40 hours. In 40 hours, you cannot create an expert on anything, for sure. But it's enough to convince them to work together with a specialist, and then to know the basic and minimum terminology they need in order to enter into this process. And then I think that we need to move forward in this way, because at the end it requires the cooperation of researchers from one side and the specialists in technology transfer units, etc. Because the complementary of these two skills is the basic ingredient for success.
Okay, thank you. Any other question? Just at the end, please. Thank you.
First of all, thanks for the conference. And my question is, you said something about the figure of the entrepreneur as employee, and I was asking, and I'm going to ask you, do you think the companies here in Spain are ready to this new position? Because sometimes young people, when we arrive to these companies, they don't allow us to grow and to actually share our ideas or our vision. Do you think this is going to change? Should we be the change? Thanks.
Let me answer not only in terms of the Spanish industry, but that's a general comment. At this moment, all companies are considering the way to attract talent as a very important priority in all companies. It's a basic point for all of them. And they need to attract people with a global understanding of things. This is the second point. On the other hand, all of them have embraced the so-called open innovation processes. Open innovation means that these companies are creating a network of links with other kinds of institutions, startups, research groups, or in universities or research centers, etc., to work together. And then they are looking for cooperation. Probably the concept of employee and non-employee is something that is becoming faster and faster in the future. And then probably you could work as a freelance in some sense, a part of them in one project, in other time, but in other cases, they will appreciate very much to have this kind of creativity and the capability to launch something. Even many companies have created the so-called entrepreneurial programs, which is just to convince part of their employees to become entrepreneurs and to launch an idea in a free way, and then if this idea has some feasibility, why not to support it and then to give the possibility to this employee to launch their own company. Then we will live